If everybody's ready, I want to tell you guys the story of how my brother is friends with the grandpa. And I know it sounds very boring, but trust me, I was bamboozled when I heard the story. To give you guys a TLDR on how their friendship bloomed, basically, he was the PA of a really rich man, right? And being rich and all, that means you have like a bunch of rich relatives. And one of them being like this rich grandpa. But my brother ended up just being very, very good friends with the grandpa. Yeah. And as it turns out, this grandpa is actually Indonesian. So he's a rich grandpa. And he said, oh, okay, if you ever come to Indonesia, you better call me up and you better meet me. We're going to hang out. My brother, he's already officially an American citizen. So when he comes to Indonesia, he can't stay for long, obviously. So he texted the grandpa. He was like, sir, I'm back in Indonesia, by the way, if you ever want to hang out. And he was like, oh, okay, I'll pick you up. So apparently he was picked up. He said it was a really fancy car. And there were 2 bodyguards with him. It was off to a great start. Nothing too wowzers, just a limousine and 2 bodyguards. And then they went to the grandpa's house. Not a big deal, you said. This is the start, by the way, guys. This is the start. There's still so many things. Crazy rich? Yes. Because you know what? This grandpa's house is actually a Japanese house. Like, do you guys know those emperor houses in Japan? Like the ones that you see in drama. Yeah, it turns out he's a weeb. Well, I wouldn't say weeb, but he's an otaku. He just loves Japanese culture. And he decided that he wants to build like a Japanese emperor's house in Indonesia. I didn't even know that was possible, you know? So he has to be really rich to do that. Japanese house in ID, a traditional emperor Japanese house. With Zen garden, yeah. I don't know how to say it, but I didn't think that was possible in I didn't even know that there was such a place in Indonesia. How big is the house though? My brother didn't say much, but basically imagine like a very, very big cluster. From the average cluster size, you time it by 4, and that's just his property. When he arrived, the grandpa was like, oh my gosh, my friend from USA, give me a hug. And then they hugged and they just hanged out. But, you know, having an age difference, it kind of begs the question. People thought that my big brother was a very important person, when in fact he's just a very normal guy who just likes chilling with literally anyone. Yeah, everybody, like including the bodyguards, they were like, oh my gosh, why is he friends with our master? Why is he friends with boss? How are they friends? People started thinking that he's a very VVIP kind of guy. They kissed? No. They walked in, they were walking around, and I kid you not, my brother said, well, obviously, since he's a rich guy with a really big house, he's bound to have maids, right? But what surprised my brother was that there was not a single lady. There was one lady. She's just kind of like the assistant for the wife. But other than that, every single maid in the house is just buff men with like veins in their muscles, whatnot. They would be walking around the grounds and they would see a buff man just sweeping the floor. My brother met up with the wife, and the wife went, oh my god, Illo! It's been so long! Here, come and give me a hug! And so they hugged together, and then suddenly, she just casually gives my brother 200,000, and she was like, here, to buy snacks! Like, you hugged and then you give... Huh? For what? For snacks. He was like, no, please. I can't take the money. And then the wife was like, no, it's for when you go out for lunch with my husband. And then my brother was like, but your husband's paying, so I don't actually need the money. And she's like, oh, well, that's okay. You can just keep it anyways. Flabbergasted. Because again, in Indonesia nowadays, nobody carries... At least not in the capital, that much cash on them, you know? We usually pay digitally. After they were hanging out in a while, the grandpa decided to ask my brother, hey, wanna see my garage? You wanna hang out in my garage? And then my brother was like, garage? I can see your cars? My brother specifically said that it was a hangar garage, airport level. He said it was massive, but I didn't actually understood what hangar meant, you know? And obviously, he had a collection of cars, like old cars, new cars, sports cars. Yeah, and my brother was living the dream because he was seeing so many cars in person. And then he was like, yo, why did you decide to like collect all of these cars? And you know what the grandpa said? The grandpa said, Listen, this is the difference between boys and men. Boys collect Hot Wheels. Men, we collect them, but just bigger. And I'm like, oh shit, that's the coolest sounding grandpa ever. What? Sounds like something a rich person would say. Yeah, that was so cool. Monday car, Tuesday car, Wednesday car, Thursday car, Friday. Yeah, and you guys know there was a Mini Cooper. Do you guys know Mr. Bean's Mini Cooper? So he had that, and you park the car so that we can only see the front, right? So 2 levels. Yeah, it was 2 levels. Anyways, there was the Mr. Bean Mini Cooper, like the old one. And then my brother got super excited. He was like, that one's from Mr. Bean. But Mr. Bean's car is like green. This one is yellow. I was like, can I see it? Can I see it? And then the grandpa was like, haha, sure. Boys, bring it out. So, Mini Coopers, they're usually 2-seaters. But when the Mini Cooper came out, it had 8 seats. It became a limousine. What? What? Yeah, it's like a modern Mr. Bean car. Do they sell these? Oh, no. This is custom made. So I was bored. I had like 4 Mini Coopers and I was just bored with them, so I decided to make like a whole limousine. Grandpa literally Frankensteined the Mini Cooper and turned it into a limousine just because he was bored. Like, he told me his experience, but honestly, I don't know how to word it out, so I'll just say that they had a lot of fun riding a few of the cars and a few of the motorcycles. Apparently, the grandpa had 4 man caves in the property. And when I say man caves, I'm not saying, oh yeah, he has like a little basement. Oh yeah, he has like a big room. No. The man caves are all houses. It's not even rooms, it's not even basements. Actual big houses. And he just calls it a man cave. In one of the man caves that they went to, there was like a bunch of like old toy cars. And this grandpa is collecting like a really old brand called Taco. I forgot what it was, but it started with a T and has like a K in it. Ah, is that it? Tonka. Maybe it's Tonka. Tonkaka. Is it Tonka? Yeah, it's Tonka. He collects Tonka. Basically, there's like this one vintage antique toy car that this grandpa collects, right? Apparently, there was like this one specific Tonka that he hasn't had in his hands that this grandpa really wanted, but he hadn't had his hands on it. And so, before my brother went to visit, apparently my brother, he had a friend who's actually a toy expert. He has like connections. Luckily enough, for my brother, he found the exact rare Tonka that this grandpa wanted. And he gave it to the grandpa. And the grandpa was ecstatic. He was so happy. He was like, finally, my collection. And you know what happened next? He was like, yeah, I've been looking all over just for this one car. And we've never found it. And the next thing he did was that he dialed his phone. And then he called his personal assistant. Hey, can you come to the man cave real quick? The personal assistant was actually out of the house. It took him 1 hour to get to the man cave. And you know what happened next? He shamed the goddamn assistant. He was like, check this out. This is my friend from America. And he found the exact replica that I was looking for. Well, no, not the replica. He found the exact toy that I was looking for. How come you couldn't find it? Huh? He started shaming. He was like, he can find it. Why couldn't you? My big brother, he couldn't really do anything. He just laughed. What do you do in that situation, guys? And anyways, they went back to the main house. Oh, and this is the crazy part. While riding the car, the grandpa insisted that my big brother sits in the front, take the shotgun, whatever, and the grandpa would sit in the back while the driver would just drive them around the house, around the property, right? Illo, what are you being shy for? I know just how much you love to vape. You can just vape right now. Inside the car is fine. And then my brother was like, for real? Yeah. And then, you know what the grandpa said? Yeah, you can, but when you vape, make sure that you do it onto my face. Huh? What? What happened was, my brother vaped. He turned around from his seat and just vaped onto the grandpa's face. And then the grandpa was like, ah, yes. You still smell the same, Illo. I missed your smell. Yeah, Grandpa! And again, remember, there's a driver driving. And according to my big brother, the driver was sweating bullets. He was tense. He did not know what to do because his master is sitting in the back and is having his face vaped? Oh god. That's not the end of the story. Once they reach the main house, the grandpa actually likes smoking too. It's just that he smokes cigar. Expensive cigar. As my brother would say it, he smokes very, very big cigar. The grandpa sat my brother down and then handed him what was called a Cuban cigar. Yeah, from Cuba. It was his first time doing a cigar, but the Cuban cigar got him hooked. It was so good, is what he said. It was smooth, just ran through. Apparently, one cigar cost 800 USD. My brother just breathed $800 for snacks. That's like 12 million rupiah. And you know what 12 million rupiah can get you? 4 months of rent. He just breathed 4 months of rent, guys. And obviously, grandpa friend was very ecstatic to hear that, right? Anyways, do you wanna take a whole box? I have like this one unopened box of the Cuban cigar if you want. One box has like dozens of them. My brother didn't take it though. He couldn't. I don't know if it's dozens or I don't know if it's just 4. I don't know how many there are, but assuming that there's more than one is already enough to make me go, what the fuck? Wow. That's crazy. Oh, also, and then they went to like another man cave. I remember now. The first man cave I told you, it has like all of the Tonka cars, right? And by the way, all of these man caves, the houses, they are Japanese modeled as well. So I need you guys to put that in your memo. So anyways, they went to this other man cave. And this man cave, oh, it was, as my brother would describe it, greatest man cave he's ever seen. Why? Guns, swords, axes, like all of the weapons that you could ever name of is in there. Katanas, shotguns. Holy damn. Wow. My brother actually had a gift for the grandpa. He had like a custom-made knife. He had another friend who is also kind of like a blacksmith, and my brother decided to give him a custom pocket knife with like wood engravings on it, right? And grandpa was super happy. And then he was like, "Aw, but I can't just take this, Illo. How about this? We do a trade. You can choose one from my collection." And the thing is, he couldn't pull himself together, you know, because first of all of them are so wonderful, and obviously he feels bad if he has to take one from his collection, you know. So in the end, what happened was that the grandpa, he took like 3 weapons from like different categories for my brother to choose. There was a katana, there was a gun. I don't know what gun it was, but he said it was one of the vintage looking ones. And there was a hand axe. And my brother was still insisting, "I can't take it. It's your collection." Yeah, and so, well, he's coming home with a hand axe. He actually got a hand axe. Turns out it's because he's a grandpa. He doesn't really use cards, or he doesn't really use digital money that much. Eventually, they ate out in a normal mall, in a normal restaurant. Ate quite a lot, though. It was like 460,000 rupiah. You know what he pulled up? You know how Mr. Beast likes to give stack of money to people? Like, imagine you holding like a very, very big box of stacks. Turns out, the way he gives money, the way he pays for things is that he always has a briefcase on him. And whenever he wants to pay, he just opens the briefcase and there's just full stacks of money. So the total is 460,000 rupiah, right? And then he put down 500,000 rupiah, which means that he has a change of 40,000 rupiah, right? When the waiter said, "Oh yeah, sir, just a minute, I have your change with you," he was like, "I don't need it." "What for? You can keep it." But he said it in a way that he doesn't actually need change. He already has the money, so what do you need to give him change for? Power move right there. Yeah, so basically, my brother, he befriended such a rich grandpa. He said that they're going to hang out again soon. This time, it'll be my brother's treat. But, you know, it's just hearing all of these stories makes me wonder what my brother has been doing in America. If you made an Ollie cave, what would be in it? A bunch of Miyabi senpais, probably.